Node alert. Node alert.
The movie's sort of been, not sort of, it has been anticipated for like 30 years, and been super anticipated for the last 3 years. And I was just curious what we thought of it, Amy.
There's very few words and very many words to describe my love for this movie. I didn't know what to expect. I knew I would love it no matter what. Star Wars, I would just love the theme of it, but I didn't expect to love it so much as it is and how it was written, and just I was so happy, mouth agape and smiling the entire time.
Amazing. Maren.
I was really excited too. I expected to like it, but not this much. I was laughing the whole time. I cried a little bit. Smile on my face pretty much the whole time except for the times where I cried. It was amazing, and I love all the feminism in it.
That'd
Awesome.
be a really scary cry face if you're smiling while you're crying.
just really snotty. Confession, guys, that's how I cry all the time. Liam.
I'm kind of with Maren. Like, I expected to like it, but not this much. Like, it was funny, it was heartfelt, it was captivating, and it left a lot of like really good questions while also covering a lot. Like, it was just really well rounded.
Fair enough. Good job, Brian.
Star Wars is back.
That's it. That's what I really need.
Thank you, robot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
Excuse me, Master. Star Wars is back.
well, yeah, I think it's back. You know, it has a classic feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just great. I loved it.
Excellent. So, how would you rate it, Brian, out of 10?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
10.
Okay. Liam?
10.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go. It was solid as shit.
Solid as shit. Maren?
That's some good shit. I give it a 9.
Okay.
It's like 9.5. I don't
9.5?
feel comfortable with 10 because like that's it's hard to say that. But
That's Empire level.
yes,
It's 10.
Yeah. Empire to me is a 9. Empire is really good. I give this one a 7. Now, I'm.
Dan is such an asshole.
I am.
Oh,
I give it a 7.
B+.
And we'll talk about why that is. But it was much more enjoyable than it could have been. I coming out of the theater, there was stuff that kind of bugged me, but basically the way I look at it is that the prequel trilogy I probably laughed and enjoyed as much as I rolled my eyes in this one, and I rolled my eyes in the prequel trilogy as much as I laughed and enjoyed this one. So it was like a complete reversal. So therefore, while the movie's not perfect, I feel like there's hope for the future. I'm excited about the next ones, and which we'll talk about that as well.
Would you say there's a new hope for the future?
Oh, I would say there's a new hope because this was basically a remake of A New Hope. It was basically a remake of that entire movie.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the major plot points and character points were very much mirrored from A New Hope. Now it's a better version of that movie. And in some ways it's not exactly a better version of that movie, but I felt like it was made to sort of pay service to the fans, by a huge fan, which is J.J. Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, and in it being fun, it really delivered. And I think that the tone of the movie, this was the funniest of all the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Easily.
And because of that, I feel like you can forgive a lot of problems with it. But I feel like that this one ended up being funny because they're trying to pull people back in because they know that the prequels did not go over well and people are just kind of like jaded by that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's probably going to get real fucking dark in episode 8.
It better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean there was some dark shit in this one,
They
but
killed 1 billion people in this movie. That's not dark enough.
yeah. Well,
Jesus. So many planets.
yeah, that's true. They killed a bunch of people on Alderaan.
Yeah, that's true.
The
in first
stormtroopers
one.
had really good aim in this one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, stormtroopers were not as terrible
The
as they usually
stormtroopers were
were.
ragdolls in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes. So yay genocide by stormtroopers.
Good job. They're really good at killing people now.
Hashtag all stormtroopers.
But, I mean, they flew around.
Okay, so Maren said she cried. Did you cry?
Definitely. I cried a couple different times. Like when Finn and Rey, like when they first discovered Rey on that planet,
Mm-hmm.
and basically Chewie communicated in his way that it was Finn's idea, and Rey was just like, oh, and they hugged. I was like, oh, they're friends. Like, that was a beautiful moment for me. And then, of course, when, like when Han died. Do we specify like spoiler alert when we started this?
Yeah, no, it's
okay.
going to be in the title. It's a spoiler podcast.
Good.
By the way,
Okay.
spoilers.
Yeah, FYI.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. They know. We're talking about the movie.
Dumbledore dies.
Yeah, you can't have a whole podcast about the movie if you're talking about what actually happened in the movie.
So he died, and I didn't cry in that moment. I was overcome by emotion. The feels were all up in me, but then the tears started pouring when Leia and Rey were like looking at each other, because it kind of like that's when it hit me more that it was just like the loss that they had in that moment. So good.
Maren, where'd you cry?
I definitely
Cry right now.
I'm probably gonna cry right now. Okay, honestly, I started crying when they let us into the theater, and then I cried when the music started and the actual movie started and the trailers were over, and then I full cried when Han died. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is this movie happening? So yeah, sadness.
Okay. Good. Liam?
Yeah, I started at the Lucasfilm splash. That was about where it started, and then when the music started, that was incredible. And Han dying, them showing everyone that like could feel it or could tell that it happened, and pretty much every time they showed Chewbacca after that was just really sad.
Yeah, he went ape shit.
Dude.
Yeah.
He went Wookiee shit.
Yeah, I have never. Yeah, he went Wookiee shit. Now, I guess one of the questions is now that his. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to what happens with Chewbacca. Brian, did you cry at all?
I teared up a little bit during the text scroll
Robots
Okay.
don't cry.
when I was.
I got a little choked up. I mean, I knew that Han was going to die, and that's mostly because I knew that I seem a little low. Am I low? I seem a little low in there.
Get low.
I noticed that I knew that Harrison Ford would not have come back unless he was
He
going to
wanted
die.
out of the original trilogy.
Yeah, he wanted to die in Empire, and then he wanted to die in. Actually, he was supposed to die in Empire, and they decided just to freeze him. And then
Close enough.
Yeah, and then he wanted to die in Return of the Jedi, and George Lucas didn't let it happen. And so he's always kind of had like a chip on his shoulder about that, because he kind of felt like the character had run its course, and he just didn't really enjoy playing the character in the last. I guess mostly in Return of the Jedi, he just didn't enjoy playing the character because he felt like there's only so much that you can have that character do, and so actually being able to come back and say, okay, I'm gonna actually be able to end this character the way I wanted to. It's gonna matter, and actually give him some sort of a character arc that he ends in the place where he never would have been in the beginning of the first one, which is that he cares about people, and he cares enough about a son that he probably never would have had because he was a loner. And to be like, I know this is dangerous, but I'm going to go out there and try to save this person. And it killed him. Yeah. And
It was such a great, he did such a good job saying that up.
Yeah. And Harrison Ford knocked it out of the park. I felt like he was great in this. I mean, that dude's in his 70s and he's killing it. Like Harrison Ford was the best actor coming into that movie. And thankfully, I felt like everybody really stepped up their game. Adam Driver was awesome. Like just that whole scene,
amazing.
Yes,
that
the
whole
scene
scene with them was really touching. And like I knew it was going to happen, and like I was still like all like sucked up into it.
Yeah.
And he gets run through and then puts his face on Ben's face, and then falls off, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah.
And it was just, but it was great. It was a great way to end that, and I felt like it was just as, if not a little more, impactful than Obi-Wan dying, only because he's been, I mean, that was one of the issues with the movie, was that it relied so much on the first few movies, but in that way it does allow you to like him again, even if you haven't seen the other movies, and maybe even feel that, because the performance between Adam Driver and Harrison Ford was so good in that moment. That I got choked up.
Yeah.
That was definitely a time that it happened. What were we talking about?
You know,
Pride?
that's one thing I really wanted to bring up was the acting. I thought the acting was fantastic. It was like everyone in this was 100 times better than Hayden Christensen.
Oh my God.
They're so static.
The
in that last one.
BB-8 was like 3,000 versions of Hayden, like times 10.
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is that if you look at the directing, if you look at A New Hope, it's corny, and the only real reason that you had good performances in that movie is because Harrison Ford is naturally fucking good.
Yeah.
And then Alec Guinness is a fucking champ.
Yeah, yeah.
So like Alec Guinness was nominated for Academy Award for that movie, and rightly so, because he brought so much like real like groundedness to that movie, and it would have come off hokey from anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And he was so good in it that he made people care, and that's really hard to do. It's really hard to do when you're surrounded by people who aren't, you know, seasoned actors, because Mark Hamill was not, Carrie Fisher was not. Like most of what you're dealing with is young people, and he brought so much like centeredness to that movie, and I felt like Harrison Ford kind of did that here, and thankfully he didn't necessarily have to, because like you said, Daisy Ridley was so good. Daisy Ridley is going to be a star.
Yeah,
like
she's great.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the other Star Wars movies that she'll be in, but I'm specifically looking forward to her in other movies.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she brought an awful lot of emotional range that you just didn't get to see in the prequel trilogy.
No, yeah.
Because of the directing was bad. Like if you direct a terrible performance at Natalie Portman, you're fucking doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
seriously.
if you watch her in The Professional, and she's like 12 or 13 years old, she's so fucking good in that movie.
She
And
is.
you're like, this girl can act her way out of a paper. She can act her way out of anything. Like, I'd be compelled to watch her, and then you watch her in the prequel trilogy, you're like, oh God.
You can
Andy, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Like, only in those movies have I ever, like, not appreciated, like, and I don't blame her, because I feel like if she had been directed differently, and the way she was acting wouldn't have been bad and different, like, if it had been better otherwise. Like, they didn't get the opportunity to do better.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you could see that most of the actors in the prequels didn't really care.